vlog. So today's video is going to be a little bit different because it's going to be my video on antibiotic resistance. So what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are a prescription given to you by your doctor to fight off bacteria from an infection. Now, what is antibiotic resistance? Antibiotic resistance is when you don't take all your prescribed antibiotics, so the antibiotics don't kill off all the bacteria, so then you're left with bacteria that becomes resistant, and antibiotics will basically not work for you in the future because they became resistant because you did not take all your prescribed medication / antibiotics. Okay, so this shows antibiotic resistance because it's the antibiotic trying to fight off the bacteria, but this is the bacteria not letting it fight. Cause number one for antibiotic resistance is that doctors will often overprescribe you, and that is because many people think that you need antibiotics to kill a virus, but that's not true. Because antibiotics only work on killing bacteria that are not resistant. Cause number two is that individuals will misuse antibiotics by not finishing the antibiotics and saving them for later. And if a doctor prescribes you antibiotics to take for a certain amount of days, let's say like 6, but you only take them for 4, then not all the bacteria will be killed, so then the bacteria left over will become resistant. Cause number 3 is overuse of antibiotics in livestock and industry. So companies will often feed antibiotics to their animals to keep their livestock alive, due to the fact that the conditions in the farming industry aren't that great and have a lot of diseases. And they also do this to keep their profits high. So these are the 4 factors of natural selection. Factor number 1 is genetic variation and variation within the genes of a population. So genetic variation is related to antibiotic resistance because bacteria needs genes to become resistant to antibiotics, or mildly resistant, or not resistant at all. Factor 2 is non-random mating. Mating pairs are often chosen because of a specific trait, and although bacteria don't mate, they still take traits / DNA from other bacteria to have resistant genes. So factor 3 is competition, so that means lack of resources, and the bacteria are fighting for the resources inside of the body that they have infected to be able to live. And fact 4 is survival of the fittest, which is the best trait for the environment. So bacteria that have the traits of being resistant to antibiotics will also be able to reproduce and survive, ultimately passing the traits on. So how can we combat antibiotic resistance? The solutions are: don't ask for antibiotics unless you absolutely need them, because your body will most likely fight off whatever bacteria you've been infected with. And not taking antibiotics if you have a virus, because there's no medication to get rid of your flu, and antibiotics will not work. They will most likely only do more damage than good. So make sure to always finish your prescribed amount of antibiotics. So along with this one, never save your antibiotic for future infections. If you get a future infection, just ask for another prescription. They'll probably give it to you. But yeah, never save your antibiotics.